Hello everyone and welcome to Economics 1. Welcome to your economics classes. Today is the first week of the semester here at Isho University, and in the first week of the semester I would like to take things easily. I'd like to take it easy for the first week, so our first week will have a relatively short class. So this class is going to be short. And as you notice, I repeat a lot of the sentences many times. I do that on purpose so that if your English is not so great, it's still easy for you to catch up with what I'm saying. It's easier for you to understand what I'm saying. Okay? So, welcome to economics. What are we going to do today? Today we're just going to review what's our plan for this semester. Today we just talk about what we're going to do during this semester. Okay, so a little bit of an introduction to our semester. My name is Dr. Guç Nuriyev. It's perhaps easy to pronounce, especially my surname, so you can call me Guç if you would like to. Okay. I guess my name is not easy for you to pronounce because originally I am from Turkmenistan, this country over here, Turkmenistan. As you see, Taiwan is all the way over here, a small island. I got my bachelor's degree in Turkmenistan, then I got my master's degree in finance in Kazakhstan, then I got my PhD degree in the UK. Okay. After that, I'm currently teaching here in Taiwan at Isho, and I welcome you all in my economics class. All right? So if you have any questions, you can find me either in the office, that's in the International Finance Department, or of course you can send your questions by email. But the best thing to send me your questions is through the information system of Isho website, your Isho University information system. If you send me the questions through that, that will be probably the best. Okay, let's move on to the textbook. I will not require you to buy any textbooks, so you don't need to spend money on that. And I will kind of prepare my materials somewhat similarly to what you can find in this textbook called Economics by Michael Parkin. I like this textbook, although I have already changed a lot of the materials into a better form, how I like to present them. So if you would like to have a textbook, I do recommend this textbook. But you don't really have to have a textbook. I'm going to provide all the necessary materials for you through Moodle. Okay? So all the lecture notes in the form of PDF documents and all the video explanations, all of that you can find on Moodle. So if you go through all of the materials I publish on Moodle, if you read and listen and watch to all of the materials that I put on Moodle, you will be fine with your exams. Okay? But don't postpone reading all of the chapters, don't postpone watching all of the video explanations until the last night before the exam. You need to keep learning every week. Every week, it doesn't take much time. If you promise me that you will spend, let's say, just 1 hour reviewing economics every week, in addition to attending the class for 3 hours, in addition to that, if you review your class, review the materials on Moodle for just 1 hour per week, I think you should be fine with your exams. Okay? So a little bit about economics. Often we split economics into two parts for freshmen. Okay? This semester, during the class of Economics 1, we're mostly going to focus on microeconomics. Okay? Micro actually means small. So we're going to look at decisions by small players, such as individuals or businesses. Okay, we'll see how those individuals and businesses make decisions to decide how do they spend their resources. For example, money can be one resource. Financial resource is money. If I'm hungry and thirsty, how do I spend my money? How much do I spend on drink? How much do I spend on food? How much on wine? How much on pizza? So we're going to discuss these decisions by businesses and individuals during this course of Economics 1, Microeconomics during this semester. Usually the course of Economics 2 next semester involves macroeconomics. Macro means big. So we're going to look at how whole societies work, such as a whole nation or even a global economy. How do they work? We're going to look at things like unemployment, which affects the whole country, the whole world. We're going to look at things like inflation, again, which affects the whole country. Okay, so that's what economics is split into. This semester particularly is going to be microeconomics, about the decisions of how to allocate resources by businesses and individuals. Okay, more specifically, what are the topics that we're going to cover? The most important topic in economics, okay, the most important thing in economics is the chapter on demand and supply. Okay, demand is basically all the pressure by the buyers to acquire, to get, to take things that they want, right? And supply is the pressure by all the sellers to sell things to get the money. Together, demand and supply, together all the buyers and sellers determine the average market price. Yes? So we're going to talk about more details of that, demand and supply. We're also going to have a look at efficiency, one chapter on efficiency. Perhaps it will take maybe 2 weeks for one chapter on efficiency. We will also look at companies' costs and output. Output in economics is another word for production. How many toys a company makes, or how many cars the repair shop can fix. That is an output. And we're going to look at costs within the company as well. We're not going to dive into too much detail. It's not going to be an accounting course. So we're just going to look at general connections between costs and output. Very interesting, relatively easy topics. Nothing as difficult as in accounting. Of course, we're going to look at competition. How small firms compete against each other, how big firms work on the market, do they have as much competition, all of those issues. And as freshmen, I will suggest you some of the following rules of how you're going to behave in class. First of all, please don't be shy in class. If you just sit in class very, very quietly, and if I'm the only one speaking in the classroom, then the classroom can be kind of a little bit boring. You pretend to be listening. I give you all the materials. It's a little bit boring. If we have a bit of a discussion, if you say something, I say more, you say something, I say more, then it's kind of much more interesting of a class, right? So if you have any questions, don't be shy to stop me, right? Because if you have questions, there is a good chance that other students around you also don't understand that particular part as well, but maybe they're just shy to ask. So if you just ask me, giving me a chance to repeat something, to explain something better, that will help you, and also it will help a lot of other students as well. Another thing that I want to say is that if you don't ask your questions while you don't understand something, in future when we go into more complex things, there'll be even more things you don't understand. So you need to make sure you ask your questions whenever you have them. Don't be shy, right? Also, as you are freshmen in the university, it's your first year in the university, maybe in high school, you had to ask for permission to go to the toilet. Now you are moving into adult life. You don't need to ask me every time when you need to go to the toilet. You can just leave the classroom. That's absolutely fine. Just be quiet about it. Okay? Another rule that I have in my class is you cannot use any devices in the classroom. You don't need your laptops. I will explain things on the PowerPoint slides, or I will explain things using Blackboard, using a whiteboard. I will do my best to explain all the material to you. You don't need to use any of your devices. And of course, also don't use headphones. So that's the rule as well. I'm trying to spend my time to explain this material to you. I'm trying to put efforts into explaining this to you. So if you don't listen to me, instead if you are playing on the telephone, if you are watching your computer screen, doing something else, that will be very disappointing. Why would I spend my efforts and time explaining something to you when you are not listening? So make sure you don't bring any of those devices into classroom. Of course, we all have cell phones with us. Make sure you don't play with your cell phone during the classroom. Also, as I said, if you have questions, it's much better if you ask your questions. And it's better if you ask your questions from me rather than from each other. If you start chatting with each other, asking each other questions, you both will lose track of the class. You both will fall behind. You and the friend whom you are chatting with. Plus, it will disturb other people, those who are listening to the class. When you are chatting around them, that will be disturbing. So don't do that. If you have anything you don't understand, don't be shy to raise your hand, stop me at any time, ask your questions, and I will explain things again and again until you understand. Another thing that is very important is do not sleep in class. And even if you're not sleeping, do not put your head on the desk. Okay? That is very important because, as I said, I spend my efforts and my time to explain things to you. Okay? If you are not listening, if you want to sleep instead, that will be very disappointing. Why would I spend my efforts and my time explaining things to you when you are sleeping? So if you don't feel well, if you have to sleep, don't come to class. You need to go to see the doctor. Go to see the doctor. Stay at home. Okay? Don't sleep in classroom. And also, it's impolite to eat during class. So I ask you not to eat in classroom as well, but drinking I think is okay. So you can drink in classroom. That's okay. Right? So most importantly, don't be shy in the classroom. If you ask your questions, raise your hand. I will stop at any time. Okay? So the good thing about it is it can really make the class much more interesting. Two-way interaction will be much more interesting than just a one-way flow of information where I just explain things to you and you sit quietly. That's much more boring, right? So those are the rules for classroom. And moving on to our plan for the semester. So I think these are the dates for the semester, for 18 weeks of the semester. If I got the dates wrong, I apologize. It doesn't really matter that much. What's important is basically the numbers of weeks and what we're going to do during those weeks. Perhaps there is a day off in some of these class times, but we'll have to deal with that as we go on through the semester. Today we just have a short introduction to our economics class. Okay, so today's class is going to be relatively easy, relatively short. We just take it easy on week number 1. Next week we'll start with more serious information, more details of economics. We'll move on to charts, to graphs. We'll move on to very, very simple numbers. I hope you will enjoy the class. Okay? And most interestingly, I guess you want to know about your future grades, what you will have to do to pass the class. Well, you will of course have your final exam, and I will give 30 points to the final exam. You will have your midterm exam, and I will give another 30 points to the midterm exam. That's 60 points. In addition to that, every week But not today. Today we'll take it easy. But otherwise, every week you will have your weekly test, weekly quiz. After maybe 2 hours of explanations, you will have 1 hour to take the test. Okay, and I will give 40 points to all of those tests together. So I'm not really sure how many tests you will have during this semester. Maybe let's say 12 tests almost every week. So that means that each test has more than 3 points allocated to it, right? So there are 40 points altogether for all of the tests together. And of course you will need 60 points to pass the course. So it means that these tests every week is just like a present for you. It's like my gift to you. You are welcome. Because these tests are going to be easy, and it's going to be easy basically to collect these nearly 40 points, depending on how well you do with the test. Nearly 40 points, it will be easy for you to collect. You can ask questions during the classroom time. Maybe even you can ask questions when you are taking that test, right? So these 40 points will be easy to collect. It's a bit of a gift to you. You will still need to collect another over 20 points to pass the course, right? So I'm sure that will be easy enough to pass. I'm sure you will do well in Economics 1. And I do hope you will find it interesting. I hope you will enjoy the class. Next, we need to move on to something else, and that is the arrangement of the class because of the pandemic issues right now. Okay? Because of the regulation, we cannot have too many students in one classroom, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to split the class into two. Okay? The first week of the class is online for everyone. So today we don't need to go to the classroom. But weeks number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, right? I hope we will be able to attend the classes on, in the classroom, all right? And it means that we have to split the classroom into two, and here's the way we're going to split them. You're going to look at your student ID, okay? And in week number 2, so that's next week, in week number 2, next week, if your student ID finishes with an even number, with a 0 or number 2, number 4, 6, 8, okay? If your student ID finishes with an even number, 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, you will come into the classroom next week, week number 2. That's the red color on the screen right now. If your student ID finishes with an odd number, that's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, that's the blue color on your screen right now, then your week number 2 will be online. You don't come to classroom, you will watch the videos online, all right? And then week number 3, we switch. In week number 3, red color stays at home for online class, blue color comes to classroom. And we keep switching every week. Okay, we keep switching every week. So if your student ID finishes with an even number, week number 2, next week you come to class. Week number 3, 2 weeks from now, don't come to class, watch the online videos. If your student ID finishes with an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, next week, week number 2, you watch the online class. 2 weeks from now, week number 3, you come to classroom. Okay? Now, about those online classes, I will teach the regular class in the classroom. At the same time, I will record my explanations on a video, and it will take time to process the video because it's going to be a very long video. It will take time for the computer to process the video, and it will take a long time for the computer to upload the video to the internet because it's going to be a big file, big video, long video. Okay, so for that reason, maybe sometimes the online class will be quite late, meaning that the regular classroom time is on Thursday morning, but by the time I finish preparing and uploading the video to Moodle, maybe the video will come out on Friday afternoon or Saturday morning. Okay, so that's going to be our organization for our classes this semester. So again, just to repeat about the organization, for week number 4, that's 3 weeks from now, week number 4, red color comes to classroom, blue color stays at home. And then vice versa, then vice versa. We keep switching every week. Okay? Have a nice day. Bye-bye.